All right, so battery management systems for EVs. This may be quite a long video, but I'm going to show you. I got my computer up over here out of the wind. A few different options for electric vehicles. We got the cheap option, the downsides and the upsides of that. We got a couple different options and different websites, and I'm going to go over the ups and downs of them all. I can't say that I'm very familiar thoroughly with it all, but at least I can give you my insight on it all. The first option, of course, with lithium batteries and a battery management system is do like I did and not use one at all. So the cells I have in here currently, I literally have 0 BMS on them at all. Now, we're running a 48 volt system off of the charger that was on it when I bought it. So you can see it's charging now, and this charger tops off whatever it's charging at 76-ish volts or something like that. So I have 4 of these 10S modules from Battery Hookup, which makes it a 40S. And then because this was wanting to overcharge the whole pack a little bit, I added 2 cells to make up for that, so that they would bring the pack voltage up to the voltage that this was trying to charge them to. So that makes this setup a 42S. So how do we do a battery management system for the 42S? And you can ignore my Jimmy Rig 12 volt lithium lead combination. I'm having a lot of 12 volt problems on this thing, but so the question is, how do we do a battery management system for an EV that's reasonable? Because if you've looked into them at all, you know that they can be pretty unreasonable. So, and there's a lot of just uncertainty. So let me show you one of the easiest setups. The easiest setup would probably be to throw in smaller BMSs. So you can see this guy right here. This is a 10S BMS. So technically I could put one of these per battery pack, full 10S battery pack that I have in there, and I would have a BMS on each of those. But where it throws it off is now I have a 2S, 2 cells on top of that. So what do we do? Now, this is where the math gets complicated. We got battery hookup, and if we take 14, we're going to do a 14S. Pull up our calculator. If we take 14 times 3, that gives us a 42S. So if we put 3 of these 14S smart BMSs on, we would have a battery management system for the whole thing. But we have 3 independent battery BMSs, so I wouldn't necessarily be able to charge them the way that I am now and actually have over voltage protection and under voltage protection. So what we would have to do is find chargers for 14S batteries and use 3 of them and parallel them all and keep them isolated from one another and independently charge each set of 3 that we have. So that's an option, and there's lots of variables to that. Of course, we can increase the voltage up to something, you know, if we take our 42S and multiply it by 2, which we'll probably end up doing on this car for 84S, we would then need 6 BMSs at 14S to handle everything. And then we would also need to have 6 independent chargers. So that puts us at $600 basically for the BMSs, and then who knows how much for the batteries or for the chargers. So it can seem cheaper to do it this way sometimes, and simpler. The simplest and cheapest option is obviously not to use one at all and just risk ruining your battery. Where we get into the other systems, because somebody might look at a BMS like this and think, that looks expensive for $400, and then you realize you don't need just one, you need two, and sometimes more. So that puts us, if we were to use this is Thunderstruck EV.com, so we would use one of these, which is the BMS controller. So the master control unit is their new unit that doesn't have any cell management on it. So you need just the satellites run the cell management. So you would need the 420 plus 3 of these. So the cost is a little higher than using their older system, which has a BMS controller, which is the master unit plus one satellite built into it. So that just puts us at a 42S running 2 of these. So that'd be $450, $600, almost $700 for the BMS. And then any other random things we might need for all of that, like their BMS harness tester. And so that basically kind of puts us at $700. So at $600, basically, with the cheap option, this still is pretty reasonable, isn't overpriced, and in my opinion, Thunderstruck is super good with customer service. You can actually find their phone number, you can actually call them, and you can actually talk to somebody in person if you have questions. The other option, of course, is EV West. EV West basically has the same option. You got the same, not even going to try to pronounce that, BMS controller, and then you buy satellites also, which I want to say are pretty much the same price, $275, $450, and then the tester. So it looks like, okay, it does come with everything it needs. So EV West would basically has the same thing, but in terms of getting a hold of somebody here, it's quite a bit harder to do. Now, they probably have other options on EV West. I haven't looked. This stuff updates all the time, but that's probably the most common one you'll find. And then, of course, there is the famous Orion BMS, but good luck buying one of these. I can't even figure out where to buy one. It just, purchase goes into this loop where you are, yeah, talk about a good way not to sell anything. So you could try to figure something out here, which I have, and I've clicked on United States, tried to find a way to buy one, and I just entered this loop. I could probably try to call somebody and get a hold of somebody, but I can't find a price, and it's just hard to buy one. And so good luck getting a hold of anybody, let alone knowing the price. So I could be wrong on Orion. Maybe Orion's cheaper, but $700 and being able to get a hold of somebody is a little more reasonable. And now when you're doing a BMS system with smaller BMSs, one thing you have to realize is you're not driving your car off of the BMS itself. You would just be running your solenoid, whatever kills all the power to the controller, to the drive unit. You would be using, making sure that this would kill the power to the drive, to the controller, to the solenoids, to the 12-volt system, whatever's needed. That's what the purpose of this would be, for under voltage protection, and then the over voltage would be handled with the charger and all of that. So hopefully that's a help to you. I know kind of a long, boring, drawn out video, but these really are my only solutions that I've found. You could go with something maybe a little more cheaper and pick a smaller BMS. So, run into something like this. So we got, We could do even 615S on this car that I got for 400 volts, which would put us at quite a bit cheaper, and then hoping that 30 amps is enough to handle whatever the car needs to run the circuitry for your speed controller and everything. The problem I don't like about these smaller ones is they tend to not be smart BMSs, so you can't tap into them and see what's going on with the BMS, which I do like to be able to do.